Welcome to Origin Stories. I'm RD.
I'm Parrott.
We're telling stories behind the digital art revolution.
Each week we interview top artists
and live stream with the community.
Let's go. Today is tomorrow's origin story. Yo.
What's up?
What's going on, everyone?
How's everybody doing? So it looks like Periscope is down. I think that's the issue we're having here.
Okay.
But we're live on YouTube.
What's up, YouTube?
So I'm gonna blast the YouTube link real quick on Twitter before we get started.
Cool.
And there we go. Oops. Perfect.
Yeah, Matthew, welcome to our first ever technical difficulty as part of this Origin Stories live stream.
First ever? Oh my god.
First ever.
How can I not believe that?
I don't think it's ever, StreamYard has never failed us before.
That's amazing. But this is Periscope's fault, as I understand it. Right?
You know what, that's true. I actually need to shift the blame
Shift
appropriately.
the blame.
All right, did you tweet that, Parrott?
I'm tweeting that right now and tagging the both of you on it.
Sweet. And I'll jam a retweet out there, and we got so much to talk about. Yeah, Matthew, you got topics dialed up. You ready? It's been a week.
Oh shit! I should have come with a full list of topics to talk about.
No. We're gonna go on the fly. We got lots to talk about. We got more topics than we'll be able to handle.
Awesome.
All right, cool. The Druid's in here. Hey guys, what's up?
Oh, is that
Druid?
The Druid, or is this the other Druid?
I'm trying to look to see the profile picture.
In the old days of Super Rare, there was a lowball bidder who would always come in and do like $1, $5, $10 bids. His username was the Druid.
He bought a bunch of some of my first art, actually.
Yeah, and he's had like incredible successful run of reselling a lot of that work at like pretty insane ROI, to be honest. He's hated by a lot of people, but I always saw what he was doing and I was like, wow, man,
I like the guy. He's nice. Respect the hustle.
Yeah, Druid. Oh man.
Nice.
What's good, dog?
That's so cool.
All right, there we go. A couple tweets fired out. Boom.
And the Druid's on Periscope commenting too. So tell me how that's working, because from our end, Periscope seems to be down.
I think Periscope, you can click through and watch it, but there's clearly some Periscope to Twitter connection that is fritzing out right now. So,
all right.
Well, let's work with what we got. We got the recording that'll be there. We can always tweet it out after. So let's have some fun. Let's talk NFT space. Today, Odious, what's going on up in here? Good stuff. We still got the crew. Matthew, first topic of the day. It just happened, hot off the presses, 2 hours ago.
All right.
The real savage Bill Ellis comes in and crushes the floor of, mind you, not one, not three, not five, not seven, but 8 artworks all the way up to that cost. Just like an absolute savage move. Had tweeted out about it earlier to get feedback about how people felt about artists buying their floors on secondary. Got a lot of positive feedback. You know, people were saying like, don't dabble with the primary or this, but everyone seemed to be on board that like, hey, you show belief in yourself on the secondary market, go for it. And then Bill Ellis just slammed.
Yeah, casual 80K sweeping up the floor. Personally, I really think that's something it's great to see. And I've been talking with a bunch of other artists who are planning to do similar things in the next month or so, which is really exciting from a collector standpoint. Artists that know their value, know their worth, and appreciate that there is an appreciating floor to the work in their collector base. Coming in, sweeping that floor, getting rid of weak hands, more or less, that want to kind of get out. I think it's a really, really, really strong move. You'd just love to see it. What do you guys think about it?
I think it's amazing. My feedback was to Bill when he asked the community. My feedback was, as long as it's not doing two things: one, influencing or impacting the primary, as long as people aren't in there bidding on their own, that type of stuff, and as long as it's not with the intent to pump for a short-term sale elsewhere, like to raise the image to boost something in the moment. As long as those two things are not the case, then hell yes. I think it's a absolutely strong move, shows a ton of self-belief, shows a ton of belief in your future, in your collector's futures, like everything. I think it just works very, very harmoniously. And I think Bill even goes a step further where he's looking into, how will these works be distributed in the future? Where, obviously when an artist does this, there's no incentive to dump them, right? Because it's your work, it's your career. So in my opinion, it only leads to positive outcomes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a spectrum of collectors out there who are in it for different reasons. I think a lot of people came in during like kind of gold rush era in March looking to make quick profits, and when those weren't realized, they're selling out loss to try to recoup some of what they spent. And then on the other end, you have collectors like Roger, or collectors like Illustrator and AAA who come in and they are there to uplift the artists. They're there because they believe in the long-term impact of the art and where it's going to be in 5 years from now, not in 5 months from now or 5 weeks from now. So I think, getting those weak hands out of there without, I like it when the artist does it too, because like Roger said, it shows self-belief in one's own work. So I think it's only positive, as long as it's not, like Roger said, also affecting a primary sale or trying to manipulate the market in some way.
Yeah, bidding for your own work on primary, like it's never a good thing to see. You see a few newer artists kind of make that mistake, like, hey, bid above this, and just people get a little confused with that behavior.
That's what reserve price is for.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's going to be really interesting to see how these like floor sweeps happen heading forward. I feel like the best approach is to not announce it ahead of time, just really clean that floor. It's probably the best way to start curating your collector base, in my personal opinion. And it's sort of very similar to like the Merkle Tree airdrops that you see a lot of projects do after they've kind of launched, after they got a user base. They don't talk about it usually, and then they just reward the real users and kind of go from there. I really love that personally.
I want to give a quick shout out to a quick stealth-inspired floor sweep by Mr. Parrottism over here. We're just like casually chatting pre-stream, and he's like, "Let me just go see what's up over here." And then the next thing we knew, Parrott got in there on the teacher.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't checked my floor prices in a few weeks, so I was like, I don't know, but I went and looked at all my Nifty drops, and there's only 4 pieces total under floor. So I just went and had those real quick.
And what are you planning to do with those? Like, do you just want to hold on to them? Do you think about like collector rewards using those works, or?
I'll probably redistribute those to some of my top collectors out there. Yeah. I think that's probably the best move. I don't need them sitting there in my account for any reason, really.
We get Odious, by the way. He says he's going to set a reserve price on his next 1 of 1, hit the reserve himself, burn the piece once he wins, and then use the ashes for Pac's future drops. All right. Okay.
Odious is always playing 4D chess, man.
So that was a multi-step strategic game. By the way, Matthew Odious, long time origin story supporter, so we always love seeing him in here. By the way, why don't we take a quick step back? So Matthew, for those few people who do not know who you are already, give the rundown.
Where to start? I guess present day, I'm a producer at Nifty Gateway. In addition to that, creator of the weekly Whip Meetup, which just wrapped every Thursday, 12 p.m. Pacific. We head into the metaverse and Discord in the Token Smart server, bring together usually 3 speakers coming from crypto, DeFi, NFT land, coming up on stage to give short and sweet updates about what they're doing, sort of help to stimulate like cross-pollination of all the interesting ideas that folks in the crypto space are cooking on and cooking up, but probably don't have a lot of time or opportunity to share with all the other verticals that are popping up in this space. In addition to that, co-founder of Metacast Group, which is the metaverse ad network. We work with a bunch of the creators in the space, help partner them with projects that are seeking to advertise, targeting the NFT audience. Prior to all that, co-founder of Scent.co, also the creator of Valuables, Cent.co was that crypto-powered blog, essentially. And then Valuables lets folks tokenize and turn tweets into NFTs. That's like my crypto bona fides. Also a pretty avid crypto art collector. Got in pretty early. Like to write, especially a lot about this space while I was at Cent. But then before Cent, I was working at Samsung Biologics. I was in Korea for 15 years. Went to school there. Yeah, that's sort of like my potted history. Really, really quick potted history for myself.
So you've done nothing at all.
Essentially, yeah. Just been thinking about it. Never really executed. Never did.
Yeah. Man, Parrott, I don't know if you know this, but I've been a longtime fan of Matthew's, and I recall, I believe it was the literal first tweet that I ever wrote about NFTs was shouting It was first or second, one of the two for sure. Shouting out, Matthew, your OG purchase of a lot of money artwork.
Nice.
I don't know why I just saw this, but I was going back through my Twitter history and I saw that tweet and I'm like, wow, fucking props to you for shouting that out. Because at that time, I mean, especially when I made the purchase, everyone was like, you're a fucking idiot. And at the time, the purchase price was an eye-watering like $1,700 for an all-time high price paid for one-of-one work by a lot of money in Da Vinci. People are like, oh my God, you're such an idiot. But it was really, really cool to see Roger, I think a year on, kind of shot that milestone out. It's really cool. Quickly overshadowed by Whale Shark splashing into the scene right after that and a couple other bigger whales. But yeah, man, I love that, looking at history and the small little stepping stone right before the big splash.
It's amazing, man. I remember reading up on it. I was already well into my NFT obsession at the time, and I was starting to want to talk about it because I felt like I had something to say. And that was it, man. That was I guess my Twitter origin story was Matthew.
I love that.
Yeah. By the way, Defaced in here. What's up, Defaced? Another long time origin story supporter. Glad everyone's jamming with us after the initial Twitter hiccups. We're rocking and rolling now. Let's see. How about Matthew? How about you pick the next topic? This rollicking space that we all occupy now with 100 things happening every single week. We talked about some floor sweeps and Bill Ellis's power move today. Take the mic next, man. Where do you want to
go? I guess I'll throw out like a hot take and then see how it lands and any suggestions that come from it. So hot take, the metaverse, as we currently know it, at least like the blockchain powered virtual worlds like CryptoVoxels, Omnium Space, Decentraland, and then not Sandbox, not yet at least. They're boring. It's really boring. There's not a lot you can really do. The experience is in there. A little underwhelming. What are we doing here? Why are we excited about the metaverse?
You want to go first, Parrott, or you want me to go?
You go first, Roger.
So Matthew, to be fair, we had a chance to chat about this a little bit the other week. I think I do share that opinion. Have held off making moves in the metaverses because I do feel that either one of the current ones has to step up to produce more excitement, to produce more going on so that we want to go spending time in there. Or more likely, in my opinion, is one of the giants gets far enough along where they then sweep in and it's jamming from day one because there have been $1 billion invested in it and it's ready to go. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. The metaverse I've spent the most time in has been Decentraland. Probably jumped in there about a year ago or so, looking at everything, and it's definitely progressed a lot. I think last Halloween they had some like games where you're like running around smashing pumpkins and you got like wearables out of that, which I like. I've been to CryptoVoxels before, which is also, improved over the past year as far as like graphics and interface goes. But, I don't like really play that many video games as is because I'm doing like art or other stuff that's just as exciting for me. So when, a metaverse happens, I feel like it has to connect with people more than they do right now. I think there's a novelty to it right now where it's like, this is what we have, and it works with NFTs, and there's virtual land. And I think the novelty factor is what's kind of driving the excitement behind it, but that's going to wear off eventually. And it needs to be more than that to bring the common folk in, people who aren't spending all day on Twitter learning about NFTs. So I think the boys at like Unreal Engine or something like that can probably make the craziest metaverse we've ever seen happen in a few months. Or Nvidia or Oculus or something like that, where it bridges that gap between novelty and execution and playability.
No, I think you had so many great points there. And the novelty factor of like going into a virtual space and doing things, I think that still is like a powerful lure to bring people in initially. But then you're standing there, maybe like in CryptoVoxels, now that you can do some kick flips and you can floss and some extra dance moves, like it's kind of fun, right? But I think your reference of the Smashing Pumpkins game, shout out the actual Smashing Pumpkins. The games, like memory formation, running around together with your mates, right? Smashing the pumpkins. Like that's a memory that lives on after that event. And in my personal experience within these virtual spaces, the most powerful memories are those like community games or community experiences where you're doing something. Whether you're like trying to find your way to a storefront that No Shot, the co-founder of Async Art, set up to sell his virtual shoes that everyone can participate and try to buy at the same time. That's a memory that lives on. Having like a game that everyone races to the top, trying to win this like huge pot or bounty or something like that. And you have that one friend who just can't like jump up to that first platform, and you're like forever reminding him how he fucked up in that game. Like the more that these worlds can optimize for that, I think the better they'll be. And you'll get to that point where it's not just the novelty, to your point, like the platforms relying only on that. And that's where like I'm excited for the sandbox really to get going. And then the more established players, hopefully bringing in more complementary experiences or just more exciting experiences for sure.
Yeah.
So, a point, and then let's definitely bring the community in because there's definitely some good comments in there. But a point is, I think it's easy, especially for, I like to try to look out, and Matthew and Parrott, I think you're both two people who also like to try and look out and see what's coming. I think it's easy to fall into the trap of seeing all of the future potential, and the fact that my opinion is that multiple worlds will be a huge part of a lot of people's days, weeks, months, and years when the time comes. I think it's easy to sit there, look out, and be like, oh hell yeah, this is where it's at, this is the thing, but then miss the current day and the gap that needs to be bridged to get us there. We'll get there, there's no question about it, but that timeline is not clear at all. The current ones could be brought up, and by the way, I would love for that to be the case. I'm not wishing ill or rooting against any of these current, and to Odius's point, Odius makes the point, I don't think any of these are the metaverse. I think as a collective we can consider it that, but as its own, feel more of a pocket universe within the metaverse. DCL, Sandbox, Somnium, CryptoVoxels, all are pockets. For sure. Yeah, I think it's metaverse is a loose term that gets thrown around a lot. It's a good point to make, that they are all pockets within that. DeFace makes the point, Epic raised $1 billion to pursue their metaverse project. Absolutely. Facebook has basically announced that they're in the game as well. These are the behemoths that are coming after it. And then lastly, shout out to JRAM in here. Love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's almost akin to talking about social media. Like as of, right now we have Twitter, we have Discord, we have Reddit, we have Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, TikTok, et cetera, and they all fill a certain niche, and they are, some of them are competing with each other in certain ways, but on a day-to-day basis, I might use 4 or 5 different social media platforms, and I think we'll probably see something akin to that with the metaverse as well. There's going to be, the Facebook of metaverses, whether that's created by Facebook or not. And we'll see, these different metaverses fill out these different niches. But I think right now it's kind of like the early days of, Facebook, say, where it's just like Facebook is at this college and it's only the students there and they're just like posting about like random shit and the like real community hasn't arrived yet to like, bridge everything and make it possible.
No, totally. And I feel like there's always this like problem with definitions when we talk about the metaverse. I mean, everyone has their own definition, but always like trying to ground it. Like I always go back to Andrew Steinwald's definitions, like digital spaces where you live, work, and play. And it's not one single project that encompasses so many different projects. In my personal opinion, like including Twitter, right? Where most of us are spending a large portion of our days when we're sitting across from the screen too. So I feel like that broader conception and definition is really important. So we don't just get like pigeonholed into like this particular pocket of that space.
Yeah. I mean, you could consider Twitter the metaverse as well,
Yeah.
And also think about future jump off points. That's something else to consider, right? I think, virtual reality is going to bring us a lot closer to what many refer to when they're talking about the metaverse, like that concept of, we interact with all these social media sites basically on a flat screen. Right now, we're going to step into the screen and it's going to be all around us. And the communication is going to be all around us as opposed to something that we're, again, typing on a flat screen through a keyboard to a window. That's super fun to think about. Now think about the portal that takes you there. What's that going to be? What's that going to look like? How will you interact with that portal via your VR headset or via whatever the hell else? That's something else that's fun. Whereas if these are all pockets, how do you access those pockets? How do they be brought together? Much like I can pop up a browser and on my flat screen, I can have my Twitter on this tab and whatever else you interact with on that tab or that tab. Or you pick up your phone and you do the same thing. You have a bunch of tabs or apps here. What's that going to look like fast forward 10 years when we are firmly established?
That's interesting. I mean, the projects that are thinking about like the interoperable aspect, like the one that comes to mind is like Crypto Motors, right? So they're designing these racing cars that can live and work in like the sandbox and Somnium space and a bunch of other of these like blockchain powered virtual spaces, right? And it's kind of fun to think, well, you want to hop over to somewhere else and you just get in your crypto motor and you're back to the future style next world. I think that could be a potentially like interesting portal at some point.
Yeah, I think it might take something like Neuralink or something to that degree before everyone's fully immersed in something like that. I can like envision some Ready Player One style with like a VR headset and some like kinetic suit with like feedback and like that can be pretty immersive. And even right now, like the Oculus and the Quest and the Rift are somewhat immersive, like it's pretty crazy what you can accomplish with those things right now and how real some stuff can feel. But I think there's still that gap. I think in 10 years when everyone has a Neuralink, that will really be when it becomes a whole universe.
And what is Neuralink?
That's Elon Musk's brain chip.
Well, the thesis there is that even the way we communicate is going to change.
Yeah.
Right. That ultimately, whether it's Neuralink or whether it's something like it, or whether it's an evolution of Neuralink, where language as we know it isn't, it's everything gets the step before it accomplishes the task before we actually have to verbalize these words. Like language may be an unnecessary obstacle, which also, if you think about it, if something like Neuralink or a technology could come along to obscure or knock language out of the picture, you think like Google Translate solves the issue of like Japanese to English or English to whatever. Well, all of a sudden that's not necessary anymore. Google Translate's out of business. We're all starting even sooner than the words that come out of mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, wild to think about.
Dude, have you actually read like Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson? The avatars that were designed in there and like the expression that they're able to convey, that's sort of like that new language. And that was sort of like that tipping point within the context of the novel that brought people into like the metaverse as it was first point. I think that's just a fucking cool parallel.
Crazy,
really
right?
Cool.
Because if language can become emojis, which at first they were like, what is this? Oh, this is silly. Oh, this is stupid. Now all of a sudden, you can kind of convey many thoughts in a single emoji or a string of emojis. body language is extremely expressive. There have been a lot of studies that are done that X%, which is very significant, X significant percent of your communication is done through facial expressions and body language and that emotive side of things. Wild.
I just heard at the whip, we had a couple speakers on. They had created the smiley face money emoji, or the precursor to the emoji, actually. The art that Apple then kind of stole and made into that smiling, tongue out money symbol emoji. And they called emojis the language or the alphabet of the internet. And I was like, oh, wow, that was powerful. And then their pre-art was sort of like, if you're familiar with like the history of the Chinese language, the written Chinese language, a lot of the early characters were on these turtle shells. And like the proto language is what they designed as artists that turned into these emojis that are the alphabet of the internet. It's a fucking cool way to look at what's emerging in this internet or digital space of ours.
Yeah, I think, language is pretty clumsy at times, especially through text and typing, where you can't convey tone or body language and all that stuff. So I think, if there's a way to move past that in the metaverse and just communicate on such a more, I guess, like emotional and imagery, and I don't know what it would look like, but I think that could help the world a lot.
How about, by the way, Odious in here dropping some good thought experiments. Says he was speaking with someone the other day and essentially came to the conclusion that the metaverse won't be what you do, where you go. It will be a passport that allows access and travel. One ID attached to various characters that is simultaneous across all these pockets will be a game changer. And I imagine we'll see that soon. For sure. I mean, that digital identity. And then actually, Deface then says, yeah, Digital Axe has a similar idea. They're working on a file to transfer skins between games, for example. So if you had a dragon skin in World of Warcraft, you can move it on to Call of Duty. Very, very interesting. Digital identity. Yeah, there are a lot of companies that are fighting over that landscape as we speak. We're going deep today, guys.
I love it.
It's the best.
Philosophy.
Yes. Speaking of philosophy, quick shout out to Origin Stories guest Ravi Vora. Released the interview this morning. Talk about like just deep philosophical thinker, world traveler. He has to be in the top 0.00001% of people who have been in some unbelievable places alone with the express purpose of capturing a scene that, again, few people would ever be able to see if it wasn't for him and his camera. And just listening to him speak about it and his journey to connect subject to artist and remove the camera from the equation is wild. Deep thinker, philosopher, would highly recommend it. So that's our last Origin Story deep dive interview. And I'll give you a little teaser thought experiment for the next one. Let me come up with it. I'm going to try to stump. I'm going to try to toe the line between stumping you and having you eventually guess it. But we can move on. Come back to me.
Me?
Anyone. Anyone. I'll come up with it.
I'm just looking at some of Robbie's photographs right now.
Wild, right? Matthew, have you ever seen them?
No. Where's the link at?
I'll do a screen share really quick for y'all.
Yeah, Ravi's foundation is crazy.
Chrome tab, Twitter. Right. Well, this is just his Twitter, but let's see. Yeah, gorgeous stuff. You guys can see this.
Oh yeah.
I love the photography revolution that's happening right now in the NFT space. It seems to be popping off really strong.
Parrott, in private chat, I popped. Actually, I should put it in public chat. I got a link for you. I'd love to show, if possible, this one photo.
Okay.
Of as Ravi described it, when the entire world turned pink.
Is it the Pastel Dreams?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Chrome tab, foundation.
that.
Wow.
So sublime, so fucking cool. Oh my God.
And he describes, I'll give it one spoiler and then everyone's got to go listen if you want, but getting to that shot, he describes the process of getting to that shot. And he talks about hours trudging through mud solo, of just like mud that you're like, stick your foot in and get to the next step to arrive at this place. And that's as the sun has just risen. And then again, in his words, seeing the entire world turn pink. What a wild opportunity.
Wow. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Is this I saw some Planet Earth type video about like this one like lake in Africa. Is this that place?
Actually, he does talk about exactly where it was. Yeah, Tanzania. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I saw this. I don't know if it was Planet Earth or some David Attenborough documentary, and it was showing how all these flamingos at this certain time of year gather at this one lake that appears in Africa, and it's cool. These are cool photos, man.
Yep. Elements
Really
of nature.
cool.
That was his. So the crazy thing about Ravi is like he's so talented that
he does 3D too.
Yeah. Well, so he picks up 3D as quarantine's going on, and he's basically he's so focused and so all in that first he's playing video games with friends in quarantine, gets to top 25 in the world at a video game, picks up 3D and is spending like all day on it and just makes these leaps and bounds improvements, and then decides that he's going to do both and he's going to consistently improve his 3D. Has a lot of big visions there, but then introduces photography, which again, he's been with Nike forever and Microsoft and Disney. He's been all over the world doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So I just feel like he's an incredibly talented and thoughtful human being.
It definitely feels like NFT photography or photographers coming in and harnessing NFTs to sell their work. It really is happening at the moment. I think Justin Pattersano is like a huge figure in that
great guy
that narrative that's unfolding right now. Because for the longest time, I know there's kind of people like Nate Hill photography that were coming in and using photography combining with like visual effects. But photography really is kind of popping off. I mean, why do you think that's happening now? Thoughts? Because I feel like a lot of people for the longest time have been asking themselves, why aren't there more photographers in the space yet?
Yeah, well, let's see. I think, when I entered the NFT space, a lot of the sales that were happening, at least when I first entered, up until maybe Beeple's drop was kind of maybe the top of that, was a lot of 3D artists, and I think that's a good thing. 3D artists have been, I think, the one sector of modern art that haven't been able to monetize in any way when it comes to like physicals and stuff. You see photography in museums, you see it in the MoMA, like that it's been represented. Traditional artists obviously have been able to sell originals and et cetera, et cetera. 3D artists usually it's just like client art. Some of the more successful ones can sell prints, but I think 3D artists were pretty underrepresented in the art space as a whole. So I think it makes sense in my head why that was kind of like the first big wave of the NFT space, was because finally these artists who didn't have any way to provide for themselves outside of client art were now able to make what they wanted, and people were valuing that. And then, obviously you have traditional artists that were there, some of them even before the 3D artist wave and stuff. And I think that grew pretty organically with the whole NFT space. But I don't know why photography seemed kind of a late game, but it was. I think a lot of photographers maybe didn't know about this space until after that first 3D wave happened. So I don't know. But I love to see it. We have, obviously Justin with his Twin Flames, absolutely crushing it. We have Jay and Silva, a leader in the space, and doing amazing things. Dave Krugman, recently on Super Rare, just doing plain photography. Super, super wonderful stuff. And I finally, I feel like he's getting the credit that he deserves. Yeah, I don't know if I have a good explanation for why it took so long, but I'm happy to see it happen right now.
I think it's just a narrative build, right? I mean, I think the market, a lot of people have said this lately, but it's growing, but it is still small now. And I think it was really small. And when it's the small market, it's like you only have so many focal points at one time. And I think things hit and go. And we've seen a lot of phases come and go over the over the course of the past, I guess, since October, November, when things really started to pick up and ramp into the white hot Fed March, into what still is a very expansive NFT space, but again, one that's now getting spread out, broken apart, niches that are developing. I think it just needed a narrative, needed enough photographers to come over and say, hey, by the way, I do this and I'm pretty damn good at it. And as soon as you see a number of those people popping up, and also a lot of the people that Parrott mentioned, great human beings, great contributors to the space, to the discussion, to the Twitter streets, to the Telegram streets, to the Discord streets, we hit a tipping point. And I think people just got it. And then now it's become a narrative. And the narrative is really powerful in this space because it rips through the space. And then everyone's turning their heads and looking at once, and good on the photography community, because it was inevitable. Like, it was going to get there. It's just a matter of when and how.
Yep. I think the same thing is going to happen with music at a certain point too. I don't know when, I don't know with who or how, but I think in a certain amount of time, there's going to be just pure music NFTs without the aid of visual art. Because we've seen a lot of music collaborating with visual artists so far. But I think there's just going to be music out there that's going to be NFTs in certain ways, and eventually that will happen too, and it'll just spread outwards until everything digital is NFT.
By the way, given a shout out in the comments, I don't want to get lost. It was back on the metaverse discussion. John Ward asks, privacy in metaverses? ? Thoughts, guys?
Is there going to be privacy in metaverses, or is it important that there is privacy in metaverses? I don't know. I think depends which metaverse. Like, we're talking about which pocket. If it's Facebook, probably not. If it's 100% on the blockchain and it's just an ETH address, probably be pretty private. But I don't know. I don't know. That's gonna be interesting as it expands and more people use it. You have you have social media platforms like Facebook where it's much harder to be anonymous on there. I've had friends using fake names that then had to change it to their real name because Facebook caught on. They had to submit an ID and stuff. Then you have like Reddit, which is like all anonymous for the most part. And they both have their different values there. Sometimes it's good to be anonymous, and sometimes it's not good to be anonymous, and it could be used maliciously. So I don't know. I think it's important to have that option, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess like where my mind immediately went when I heard privacy was more immersive virtual spaces. It's not so much like privacy is like, well, I can control, like I can have a pseudonymous identity or something like that. It's more like, I was thinking more along the lines of access. So who can access what I'm creating or setting up?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I feel like now individuals, depending where they are, have that power to say, well, someone can come in here, or maybe this is my own private space, or maybe this is fully public. I feel like those different knobs and levers, the more that we can present them to individuals and creators and things like that, will help build out a more robust kind of world or space where we can control that overarching privacy or public facing persona and whatnot.
Guys, I got the thought experiment. Who can get this first? All right, this goes out to the community too. We might ban Odious from this because I feel like he already has the answer. He's just like that. But all right, guess the person. Neuralink would help you with this guest. You won't be bored. it'll be hyper real.
This is a riddle?
This is a riddle. This is a riddle to guess the next in-depth interview on origin stories.
Oh, okay.
But really, I just wanted to give you a riddle to guess a human being.
Did you already tell me who the next guest was?
It's possible. So I guess you might be banned too. But this is for Matthew. This is for Matthew in the community.
Okay, let me look in my DMs because you did DM me. All right, I know who it is.
What's that?
It's not Pack, is it?
It's not. That'd be cool.
That was my first thought too.
That'd be cool. And just for the community, pick it up one more time. Neuralink would help you with this guest. You won't be bored. It'll be hyper real.
I got it.
You got it, Parrott?
Yeah, I like the you won't be bored has like a meaning in it. It's a double entendre.
There you go.
I was going to say Neurocolor. I thought Neuralink was just a play on words and neuro, and then Neurocolor's art is just like ridiculously popping and exciting. No, give us the answer. I hate these things.
Matthew, this artist is on Nifty Gateway, by the way.
It's true. Successfully
very on Nifty Gateway.
Yeah, very, very successful drops on there.
Yeah.
Neuralink.
Just did something creative on Nifty Gateway.
Oh.
My girlfriend has 2 of their pieces.
I'm just torturing Matthew now. I'm just brought Matthew in to totally roast him.
They have the same initials as Nifty Gateway.
Oh, wow.
Oh, NIST graphics. There we go.
Yeah. Sorry, Matthew.
That was a great hint. All right. Take notes, Roger. Come on.
All right. Sorry.
Odious says odious.
Odious. Anytime. Oh, wait, you said
that's going to be a great interview. Ness is amazing. Met him down in Miami during the Bitcoin conference, actually.
Yeah.
It was very, very cool.
I think he's going to be in LA this weekend too, I heard.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I have so much respect for his artwork, and then the whole like narrative and community of collectors he's built behind his artwork too.
Yeah.
Wow, chef's kiss.
Solid individual. And just someone spend time. It's just sharp with it, gets it. Thought leader, like definitely not like formulating his own thoughts and driving his own journey where he wants it to go. I think it's a very it was a powerful hour. Anyway,
can't wait for that.
Matthew, you go wherever you want. I feel like I tortured you enough.
I was curious where Parrott would want to take it. I feel like you led. I threw out a hot take that took us down a little rabbit hole. What rabbit hole do you want to take us down, Parrott?
Oh man, let's see. What do you guys think about the traditional art houses, Christie's, Phillips, Sotheby's? Do you think they add value to NFTs, take away value, or somewhere in the middle?
Initially, I've been super skeptical. I think up until this point, they haven't been really value add, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the collectors that are participating in like the quote unquote NFT drops are crypto native, right?
Yep.
But if you look back at what Roger said about narrative building, I mean, I don't think you can deny the fact that they're helping to build a narrative with people that are not in the crypto space yet. They just haven't kind of fully kind of jumped in and decided to participate. But their involvement just by itself is hugely important to that narrative as it develops to bring more people into the space. So it's sort of like, yeah, I've been kind of a hater. I don't really think they're adding a lot of value for what's been happening up until this point, but they will be important as the narrative unfolds.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it adds a certain amount of legitimacy to people who aren't already totally into NFTs or understand NFTs.
And then from an artist perspective, I mean, being included in any one of their auctions or nights or events, like Jesus, that's a huge badge of honor, right? You can't deny that as well. Centuries old, plural centuries old institutions branching out, acknowledging digital artists, digital work. That's hugely important as well. And again, like part of that narrative too.
Yeah, I think there's no question, like the long game tip that is happening right now is serious. And we haven't seen it yet, but I've put it before. It's like an auction house just accepting anything digitally native at first. And, you know, one of the first ones was the tiny CryptoPunks, right? That were seeded all over the auction house, which was like, it was an LOL. But the doors were open. Yep. And then after that, you see digitally native, like proof of sovereignty. That one, like digitally native altogether, not with anything else, but they get the feature. Foolish just gets the feature.
Yep.
And then I said it time and time again, this last trespassing auction is a big deal. It's the hybridization of NFTs with other art and artists like Banksy, like Invader, like Cause, that matter in a big, I mean, obviously the NFT artists matter in a big, big way, but not to the broad mainstream scale that several of these other artists matter at currently and are known at currently. That hybridization is another door that's now been opened. And I think what it does is it puts it on more and more and more traditional art collectors' radars. And the truth is, like, as long as it keeps getting put on and on and on someone's radar, they're going to start tipping. They're going to start tipping and tipping and dipping, just dipping a toe. Just like, let me see what this is all about. Let me learn about this one artist. Oh, that artwork looks really cool. And then all of a sudden someone's going to learn all about NFTs and say, actually, you know what? That's an interesting concept. I believe in it enough now to allocate 5% of my art investment to the NFT space. When that starts to happen, it blows up in the traditional art space. We're not there yet. People are looking at it now, but that will tip over time. I think it's going to be really important. Then to think long game, kind of like our metaverse discussion, to think long game, I think the burden will then eventually flip to Sotheby's, to Christie's, to be really innovative and forward thinking, to stave off a lot of digitally native and NFT native auction house contenders that are coming. Like, they just are coming. And Sotheby's has taken some interesting steps. And to Christie's credit, they put together a really nice seminar. I was impressed with some of the panels that they put together. They are doing their due diligence to try to learn. But the question long term will be, can they be savvy enough to stave off the native platforms that are on their way?
Yeah, good points. I think it is a long game kind of thing. And it's also going to be interesting to see if, I think all of us, we're fine collecting NFTs without displaying them on a screen in our house. Like, that's kind of a secondary thought for us. Like, I have, way more NFTs than I could even get screens for. And, I'm looking into buying some screens, but it's like a secondary thing for me. I'm more about NFTs as a medium than needing to display them like traditional art. But I've talked to some traditional art collectors in the past few weeks who are curious about NFTs, but like one of their big things is they want to display them somehow. So I'm curious to see, like, when, we get a bunch of awesome screens out there that, really nail it and do their job, is that going to be something that flips that a little bit and, brings in more of those traditional art collectors? Or are we going to get to the point before that where traditional art collectors suddenly get it and they don't need to display it? And it's, they're going to turn into more like us where it's just to collect.
I think display is going to be a big deal. For a while, because have you guys seen some of these crazy? I know Refik Anadol has been posting for a while, like his mind-boggling displays. But I've actually seen more recently in a couple different Twitter areas of just very impressive NFTs displayed floor to ceiling, wall to wall, so, like going literally from wall to wall, and just absolutely mind-blowing stuff.
Did you see what John Bergerman shared? There's an exhibition going on in Seoul right now, and it looks like it's just like this absolutely massive OLED that they had set up, totally seamless. There's some people saying that it was a projection, but it looks like it's just like OLED wallpaper, and it is gorgeous. I mean, yeah, it's right in the top of my feed. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
That people can easily kind of like set up, and they don't have that burden of, here's a frame, and then we need to install it, and like all these other friction points that have prevented me from doing that. That's when there's going to be like, I think everything's becoming NFTs in a way, but everything is going to become a screen in the real world in many ways too, I think. Yeah, look at that. Oh my God.
That's really cool.
Watch when the transition, and you'll see like no seams.
And
yeah, also, that's beautiful.
By the way, shout out to Space Painter in here. What's going on? What I find amazing is turning a corner. So turning a corner or going from like wall and then right-hand turn or left-hand turn to another wall. I feel like if that's designed for well, it feels so immersive and so all around you. It's like you're literally stepping into an environment. I think that will be crazy too.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, even here, I'm at the Dream Hotel in Hollywood right now for the art show in LA, and King of Midtown. I don't know if you guys saw, he bought like 140 infinite object displays, and he put them all together. It must be 10 by 10 or something like that, maybe 12 by 8. Just stacked in this giant frames, and then he puts that on the wall. So you just walk up to the wall, and there's just all these infinite objects all stacked. I think that's really cool, innovative, and thinking outside the box in a sense of ways to just display NFTs. Really, really cool.
Agreed. And then getting back to, I think tying the thread all together for today, the screen technology going back to then the metaverse. Bullish on the two things, right? One is display cases in home and in the physical world. And then two is display cases in this immersive metaverse we're talking about eventually getting to, where people really want to be, people really want to spend time, have these experiences together as a community. I mean, those view cases are almost literally limitless at this stage.
And then AR is right in the middle there too, kind of combining the best of both worlds.
It's true.
It feels like we're a couple years off from like glasses or glass-like kind of apparatus that you can put on your face and see the digital in real life at the same time. And I know Artifacts is at the center of that sort of trend, I think, which is really interesting. Yeah, the idea of like geoplacing like digital statues that you can see in AR, but I just think that's so cool and so profound.
Yeah, I can't wait for Google glasses or Apple glasses or whatever is going to come to market first, because I still think, we're still like going back to earlier, a little bit in the novelty era of AR, where like I don't want to like walk around my house and look through my phone the whole time to see all the AR. I want to have it more seamlessly integrated with my day-to-day vision. So I think glasses are, I guess, the thing that bridges that together. But was it Ecentry? Ecentry?
That's another Matthew, by the way, another solid Matthew.
Yeah, I think I've seen him, and maybe it was I'm spacing right now. Doing 3D art and putting it somewhere geographically, and then you go to this geographic spot and pull up the app, and it will be there, which I think is cool too. It's like almost like a geo hunting or a geotagging or something like that, where it's a little bit more travel oriented.
We'd be remiss to not give Dirk at Work a shout out here, because he's geoplaced his shaman before. Does some good solid work over on the AR front.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool.
Gentlemen, I do have to hop at 5. It is 5 o'clock. I am sorry. But Matthew, for real, this was an absolute pleasure. I mean, when I said, like, I remember finding your vision, that super early purchase, that then, came to fruition in a huge way for you, a little while down the line. Thought it was impactful then, have followed a lot of the stuff you've been up to since, have just always had you logged in my mind as one of the solid human beings, forward thinkers, builders in this space. And, just running down your casual achievement list in a relatively short span of time. It's an amazing thing. So thank you, man, for spending the time today.
Thanks for inviting me on, man. And Roger, right back at you, and Parrott as well. Two extremely thoughtful, deep thinkers, creators, and I mean, obviously, Parrott's an artist. I love your work. But everything, the human interactions, the human blends that you share with everyone of how you're looking at the space, I think that's so helpful because everyone is looking for ways to look at the space. And it's just so refreshing and so much better than just the cash grabby lenses that a lot of people have. So yeah, I just keep doing both of your things and sharing these stories and keep being excellent human beings. It's amazing.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Let's do this again sometime. You're welcome back whenever, man.
Yeah, and if you're ever in Portland, Oregon, hit me up. I think, Parrott, you're not too far away.
Yeah, I'm in Tacoma, Washington, so I'm probably 2.5 hours from Portland, and Chad Knight's down in Portland, and I've been hanging out with him a lot lately, so we're planning to visit.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we'll come down and visit, man. That sounds great. I love Portland.
Awesome.
Cool. Shout out to the community, by the way. A lot of fun today. Odious in here. There's Lauren. What's going on? J Ram, Defaced, Space Painter, John Ward, the Druid was here first today. And I hope I got everyone. But yeah, some good conversations today.
Awesome. And if anyone's in LA this weekend, hit me up. Art show business. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Later, y'all.